Hello, fellow autism supporters, and welcome to the 1 month anniversary of Autism with Ian and Kyle. We are currently at 208 likes and have reached over 60,000 people worldwide, which is fantastic. So please keep up the great work and keep sharing the page and the link. And as most of you know, the goal for the end of March is 1,000 likes, which right now I know sounds impossible, but as Walt Disney once said, it's kind of fun to do the impossible, and I have to agree with him. We have nothing to lose, so let's just keep going, and I have faith in you guys. So the theme for this week is siblings of autistic people. So today I was going to give you guys an insight of what it's like for me to be a sibling of autism. But first, I wanted to show you guys our awesome hats that we got at Mardi Gras for Autism. We finally got them. Supposed to say with, but just Sharpie it in. It's alright. It's all good. But Artists Against Bullying had a booth at Mardi Gras for Autism, and they did over 200 hats, and one of them was this. So, and they did a fantastic job, and I've already worn it. I wore it to the beach with my dog, so yeah, I really like it. Has a nice back, and yeah, so that's great. So anyways, we'll get on with our theme of the week. If you see me keep looking over here, I have notes, so I'm just kind of like trying to read through them and yeah, make it as smooth as possible. So I kind of wrote down some things that people ask me a lot, or they want to ask me, but they're kind of afraid to. So I wrote them down and then wrote some answers, and yeah, so I hope hope this is informational or informative for you guys. So yeah, enjoy. The first question is, what did you learn at a young age from having siblings with autism? I learned personally, I had a strong sense of responsibility, and also I learned how to be a caregiver, or what I like to call a little parent, at a very young age. Because my brothers required extra attention and extra, caregiving in general, I had to grow up a little bit faster than most kids and learn things that you would learn when you're older, like when you're walking across the street by yourself, like when you're 5, you look both ways. And when you have siblings who don't have autism, they can usually look both ways themselves. Whereas if I was crossing the street with Ian and Kyle, I would have to look both ways and look both ways for them too. So I always had watch what they're doing constantly and make sure nothing bad was going to happen to them, because they weren't aware of what was really going on. So had to learn that at a young age. Also, you learn to be very compassionate towards people, especially with people with disabilities. Or at least I'm not afraid of people with disabilities. Like if I see somebody in a wheelchair, or they're crippled or something like that, it doesn't bug me. I can still go up to them and talk to them. Like some people, they get a little bit uncomfortable. Totally fine. Doesn't bug me at all. You also second guess yourself with judging people. You go, oh, that person's weird. I don't know why they're doing that. Well, for me, I look at somebody and I think, well, you know what? Maybe they're having a hard day, or there's something, maybe there's something wrong with them. Give them a chance. So definitely learned that when I was younger and growing up, and that has helped a ton. So I thank my brothers for that. Also, you're more understanding of people. You have a lot of patience. So if somebody's talking to you and you're not quite understanding what they're saying, you just wait for them, and you're patient and don't really push them that hard. Just wait. And some people just lose frustration and are just kind of like, oh my god, just spit it out. Well, for me, it's just like, okay, take your time, it's all right, explain. I stumble over my words all the time. I probably have at least like 5 times in this video already. So just learn, a ton of patience and to be understanding. So that's what I've learned, from growing up, the big key points that were very positive in my life. So The second question is, how did you feel growing up? Um, well, honestly, growing up with siblings with autism, you feel quite alone because you don't really meet people with autistic siblings, or it doesn't, even though it's a common occurrence, autism, you don't really meet people who have autistic siblings. It's not something you just bring up in normal conversation. Like, if somebody were to ask me, hey, you have siblings, right? And I say, yeah, I have two younger siblings. A lot of the time I would just say, yeah, I have two younger brothers. I wouldn't just be like, hey, yeah, my brothers are autistic and let me tell you, their whole life story. No, it just doesn't come up in normal conversation. So you just kind of feel alone, and you explain it to people who, don't have autistic siblings, and they try to understand, and it's great, but it's not the same thing because they're not going through it. So you just kind of learn to cover that up. And which brings me to my next point is, you know, growing up, I was kind of emotionally, well, I kind of still am, emotionally detached. So the way I coped with this loneliness or feeling, kind of sad about it, I would literally, like, probably from the time I was in kindergarten to about, I'd say, 8th grade, I would zone out in class and just kind of like go somewhere else so I didn't have to deal with the pain. And I didn't know, this was going on. I just kind of just dealt with it. Um, and also, one of my coping mechanisms is my dog, Elsie. I'm sure I'll have her in a video one day, but she's one of my coping mechanisms. When I was alone or sad, I just, I didn't want anybody to talk to me. I just wanted somebody to hold me, like, to love. So I would get my dog and I would hold her, and, she would just lay there with me and dogs always know when you're sad and when you need them. So that was always one way I just coped, was with my dog. So, and I'm sure there were a few others, but those were the main two. I've had my dog since I was 13, and she's going to be 9 in May. So it can be a hard day when she passes away, but she's been amazing. And of course, my parents, I talk to my parents about it, but when you live in it every day, you don't really discuss it that much because it's your life. It's, my parents and my life revolve around autism. So we don't constantly talk about it because we're always around it, if that makes any sense. And so yeah. The third question is, was it embarrassing or difficult growing up with autistic brothers? I want to say it was embarrassing growing up with autistic brothers. It was more of I didn't want to be embarrassed when I brought friends home because I didn't want them to judge them or say something to them, because then I would have to, get defensive and angry and show emotion that I didn't really like to do. I'm a very non-confrontational person. All my friends will tell you that. I don't like to confront anybody. So it was more, that's what I was afraid of, because I was so protective of my brothers. You learn that when you're young too. You get very protective, and you don't, trust is a hard thing with having, disabled siblings, because you want to make sure they're always protected and always, like, they're always being treated right, because, they can't defend themselves when somebody's being mean to them. They don't, they can't talk back. I mean, Kyle probably would have just bit you if you were super mean to him, so, he could take care of himself, whereas Ian, he's just the gentle and, like, you never want to be mean to Ian. He's super sweet. But yeah, so it wasn't really embarrassing, but I'll tell you guys some stories this week, because I don't want to make this video super long. It's already getting super long, but I'll tell you guys some funny stories this week that were more funny than embarrassing than they are now. So yeah, it wasn't really embarrassing or difficult. It was just, I just didn't want to have anybody's, feelings hurt, and then I have to, kick them out of my house. That's basically what it was. The fourth question is, excuse me, is, do you wish your family life was different? I've thought about what I've missed out on a, a typical family life. Thought about, what would it be like if my brothers weren't autistic? But you know what? There's really no point wishing for what could have been because I have an amazing life. I've had an amazing life. I had an amazing childhood, even though I had autistic siblings. I still was very fortunate. I went to Disneyland every weekend when I was a kid. I was probably the only kid who like complained about going to Disneyland every weekend. So it wasn't so bad. I also had I went to this school called Laurel Crest School for Girls, and I'm still friends with some people. I'll actually, most of my best friends are still, they're from Laurel Crest. So and that was my sanctuary growing up. My dad, he was the president of the board basically the whole time I was there, K through 8th, and he made sure that was my sanctuary. I went there. That was the place where my brothers didn't go and my parents didn't go. My dad, chimed in, but he wasn't there all the time. That was a place just for me. And it was a very small, private, all-girls school, and it was very safe and comfortable. And Miss Peroni, she's a close family friend, and she's known me since kindergarten. She was my teacher K through 8th and the director of the school, and she is just amazing and helped take care of me and watched me grow up and chimed in when interventions needed to be done about my progress in school. So yeah, that's just a little bit about growing up with Ian and Kyle and how it feels like to be a sibling of autism, at least from my perspective. I'll probably have a few more interviews. Hopefully, I have one right now that I'm going to post, and I have some videos that I found, and yeah, I'll post some photos of Ian and Kyle and I this week too, to show you guys. And if you guys have any more questions or comments, just leave them below. And yeah, keep up the great work with sharing the page, and I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks.